So we are at the May Stringer House in Brooksville, Florida. It's been turned into the Heritage Museum for the Brooksville area here. And it was, I think, homesteaded back in the mid-1800s, and originally had, the original owner actually died. Then his wife remarried, and she actually died giving childbirth. And then it was sold to Dr. Stringer, who actually performed medical procedures, had a medical office, basically was an old-time doctor in here. And 3 generations of his family lived here. And then it was sold to another owner who then donated it to the Heritage Foundation that actually has turned it into a museum. And shortly after they turned it into a museum, the staff started recognizing certain spooky things, certain cold spots that were mysterious, some mist in places that it shouldn't have been inside, and a few other things like laughter and children crying distantly. So they thought it was haunted right from the beginning, and evidently it's been certified as a haunted house. I'm not sure what really goes into that, but they were recently featured, I think just back in February of this year, on Travel Channel on a show called Kindred Spirits. So if you want to watch there and get a little bit more information about it from a professional's perspective, check out that video. However, we're going to come back tonight and go on a ghost tour. Before we come back tonight, I wanted to come and get some footage in the daytime to show you what the house looked like during the daytime with the lights on, and see kind of what it looked like. And then we'll come back tonight, get some nighttime footage, see how that turns out, see if we can capture any of those crazy paranormal activities. So come on inside.
Location, not
Right.
just the attic, but all over the house. So, it's really kind of an interesting thing that I don't know whether you have to be receptive to those things. Do you think?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I've never done one before, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
usually a
don't
little
know.
skeptical and leery, but
I don't know.
I'm interested. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and I mean, one of our docents, who's been a docent here for years and years, she went home one night after an evening function and saw somebody sitting in the back of her car. And she got to a stoplight, and she recognized him as one of our ghosts. And she said, "You have to go back." And he's gone. And she's not the kind of person to make up a story like something like that.
Really?
So whenever anybody leaves at night, they always say, "Now you all have to stay here." So they follow you home.
Interesting.
I know.
So you actually recognize the...
Well, I guess some of them do. Like I say, I've never had an experience.
You've never had an experience?
The closest I've ever come is, I had a gentleman I was taking through, and he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "They're here in the room." And we were in the parlor, and I said, "Okay." He said, "Look at my arms," and the hair was just standing straight up on his arms.
Have you heard any sounds or anything?
I haven't, but we have several docents that have heard one of the little girls that died in the house calling for her mom.
Wow.
And the thing is, her mom died when she was 2 weeks old, so she never really knew her mom. Everything you'll see in this house has been donated to us, so we are real pleased about that. At the time that we got the house, we of course had to have it raised a little bit because it's Florida and everything sinks after a while. So we had work done on our piers. This past summer we put over $100,000 worth of work in the house that you'll never see, because we had to have piers replaced under the house again. So as you go through, you'll see that we still have a lot of work that needs to be redone. The property was part of the Armed Occupation Act of 1842. The federal government was trying to get white men to come into Indian Territory. There was Seminoles and Creeks in this area. And you got 160 acres, free and clear. If you lived on it for 5 years, you built a dwelling, and you farmed 5 acres. So the original owner of the property was Richard Wiggins. We don't know exactly where his house was, because it was there was a fire in the courthouse in 1870s, so all the records were lost. But we know that this was his property. And he also donated the property that the courthouse is built on. So it was, 160 acres was a lot of property at the time. But in 1855, John May and his wife and 2 preteen daughters came here and built the original 4 rooms, which you'll see. Okay. The parlor that John May built in 1856. Unfortunately, John only lived for about 2 years after that. He died at age 28 of consumption, so he didn't get to live here in the house very long. The fireplace in the corner. That is the only original mantelpiece in the house, and when we got the house, all of the woodwork was painted black, including that mantel, and I was told it took him 3 years to get it to this point. He was going to be taxed on the number of chimneys he had, so therefore, by putting him in the corner, he could put all 4 of his fireplaces on one chimney. Smart man. The gentleman up here is Frank Saxon. He was from a local family, but he was a member of the Confederate Army. He was taken prisoner in Perryville, Kentucky. He came back and he met and married Marina May. Then they had a little girl, Jessie May. Marina only lived for 2 weeks after she was born. She died as a result of complications of childbirth. The baby died at age 3 or 4, somewhere in that area, and was popular that they took a picture after they died. And Jessie May is one of our ghosts. She's one of our certified ghosts.
We're gonna start by coming down this hallway where those stairs were the outside, built on the outside for John May and Marina to come upstairs to these rooms. So this is the hall, or it wouldn't be a hall, it was just a little walkway for them to get into the rooms. Playing with her doll. She says it's a baby, not a doll. So, very upset. The guests and the docent start going upstairs to the 3rd floor, and they hear this crash, and the docent comes running downstairs, and this cradle is in pieces on the floor. Well, this is our 3rd floor landing. Oh, right? Our 3rd floor landing. Yeah. This is a beautiful attic. It's very nice. And the great thing about this is look up. And you can see these shakes. These are original shakes of the house. Oh, wow. They are original shakes. Wow. That's the main point. The trunk that was on the Kindred Spirits last Friday. Oh. We had them come last June, and they filmed for a week. And then we didn't know if they were going to actually have a show on it, but we got word about 2 months ago that they were going to air it. So it was aired last Friday. So
that was what they were watching at Tammy's.
I missed it. Yeah. So that's the show.
Awesome.
So you could always go to Kindred Spirits and watch for it, or to see when it's going to be on again. Kindred Spirits on the Travel Channel.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and then the trunk, and this is the trunk that they were investigating more.
Okay.
Yeah, and that supposedly was owned by Gary. Gary was the man that was associated with this or attached to this trunk. But now, since Gary has become known out into the community and the social media world, when people come now to the house, they leave him nips, candy pieces, money, cigars. They must think he smokes and drinks and eats. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's a spirit. He doesn't do any of those things, you know? But we've heard him on recordings and stuff, because Jesse, our Brooksville Pit gentleman who founded the Brooksville Pit, he comes every Friday night after the ghost tours are done and the people leave. He comes in and he sets up his equipment either here or in Jesse's room or in wherever he decides to pick that week, and he leaves all the equipment running, and he goes home and he comes back at 3 o'clock. He watches it on Facebook or his site, just like we do.
Right.
And so we tune in. The whole house is haunted.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, the whole house. Yeah,
Okay.
because there is no time specific that entities or spirits will come out. They're just here all the time. And they
Okay.
either make their presence known. Now, I had one a couple of weeks ago down in the parlor. I had a tour, and I had put my hand up like this on the mantle of the fireplace.
Uh-huh.
I just rested my hand like that on the mantle, and I'm talking to the guests, and I'm telling them about Frank and all this stuff, and I kept getting, and I had a short sleeved blouse on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing there like this, and I'm getting this tickle on my arm, and I thought it was like since I have long hair, I thought maybe one of the hairs or something. It was on my shirt or something, and it was tickling my arm. You know, everyone can feel that. You've
Right.
done that yourself, I'm sure. And so I'm okay, and so I continue talking, and I get it again. Okay, and I'm looking, and okay, I don't see anything, and so I'm going like this to see if there's a hair there or something. Nothing. So I'm continue talking, and the next thing I know, I get this rubbing on my arm right over here. I get this rubbing. I was being touched, trying to get my attention. And so I felt that, and oh, okay. And my guest said, "You okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Just someone trying to get my attention." and that was it.
Wow.
And that was just one of about 8 different events that I've had since I've been
Really?
here.
How long?
4 years.
4 years.
Here we are at the May Stringer House. Whoa.
All right, so we're back at the Mays Stringer House, and we're going to go in for our guided tour here in just a minute. I've got my GoPro on my hat, my GoPro on my chest, and I'll be taking this iPhone through. I've got them set on the best possible night camera stuff. I'm not sure how many lights we're going to have while we're in there, but we're going to do our best to get some good footage of the night ghost tour of the Mays Stringer House.
What are you signing, Nelia?
I don't know. Wait, there's 2 there. Wait. There you go.
You want to do this one?
Yep, thank you.
Freezing.
Getting there.
You said it.
Yes, we're doing. So welcome to the May Stringer House. My name is Tammy, this is Autumn, and that is Bruce, and we will be your guides for the evening. May Stringer House is actually named after 2 men. So it is not a first and a last name, but it is a hyphenated name because the house was actually built in 2 separate sections. So May, being the first part of that name, comes from John May, who came down in 1855 with his wife Morena. They came down from Alabama, and he was a contractor. So he acquired this plot of land and built a 4-room structure. Now this 4-room structure was only the parlor, the dining room, and the 2 bedrooms directly above. Now, John died shortly after the construction of the house. His wife, his widowed wife, got remarried to a Confederate soldier. She passed away in childbirth. He got remarried, moved out, and then it became acquired to the Stringer family. The Stringer family, the husband was a doctor, so he ran his medical practice out of the building. He added 10 rooms onto the original 4-room structure, therefore making it a 14-room house now. So after the Stringer family moved out in 1949, it became a rental home from 1950 until 1974. That's 24 years that multiple families stayed here for short periods of time. It's possible that there was just a lot of construction work that needed to be done. Nobody was able to stay here very long because nobody could really sink that kind of money into it. Other theories were maybe there was something else chasing them away. But it became abandoned in 1974 until 1981.
We're gonna go ahead and move into the first room of the original 4-room structure, and I'll tell you about that, and we'll start on our tour. So go ahead and head in.
Cool.
This is Miss Jessie Mae Saxon. Now, if you know about the house, you've probably heard that name. She's one of our most famous entities here. I'm like getting goosebumps just talking about her. We do have a lot of the young ladies come into the house and they feel what are like spider webs or hair on their hands. And the story that's always been told to me is that's Jessie Mae holding your hand as you walk through the house. So ladies, as you walk through the house, make sure if you feel anything like that, that might be Jessie Mae. Right behind you on this chair, that's actually Dr. Stringer's Bible, the family Bible. I don't touch it with a 10-foot pole because it's very fragile and the curator would get really mad at me.
So where we're standing right now is the dining room. Dining rooms were used for formal dinners in the evening. When you went to dinner with your family, everyone was dressed in their best gowns, and so it was a very fancy occasion. But there is something very, very special in this room that I enjoy sharing with you guys. And this thing is standing right next to me. This contraption is what we call an amberola. So you can kind of envision a family sitting around the table. In paranormal investigating, when you play music of that particular time period, it tends to make the spirits and entities more comfortable. You know, it's a matter of showing them respect for who they are. We cannot have ghost stories and ghost hunting without the history and the stories of these people that we're looking for, because they are who we are really showing respect for. We want to know who they were as people rather than what they're doing in the home now. Now you guys are going to follow Bruce upstairs. That is the back staircase to the original 1856 house. Now John May wanted to save his family on taxes, so he actually built the staircase on the outside of the home.
Now this is a 19th century spinning wheel. This side over here is called the wool clock. So during the history tours during the day, part of my job is to come in and tell you all about the spinning wheel, right? So I came in to open up one day. Nobody had been up here yet. It was just me up on the floor. So I came in and this wheel was off of the pin and over here and leaning up against it. So my first thought is, oh no, I'm going to be in trouble because this is an artifact and I was in charge up here and now this artifact is broken. So I texted the curator and she said, that's all right, we'll have somebody fix it, no big deal. I brought my group up. It was a man and a woman visiting from Iowa. Now, I kid you not, he points to, first thing he says, he points to the spinning wheel. He says, hey, your spinning wheel's broken. I just so happen to specialize in 19th century spinning wheels. And he fixed it for me on the spot. Now this pair of shoes right here, these dainty little things. These shoes kind of have a mind of their own. Now, we will find them in different areas. We'll find them in the middle of the floor over here. We'll find them over by the chair. We'll find them back over here by the spinning wheel. We'll find them laying next to each other on their sides. Keep your eye on these shoes. Take pictures of these shoes. Notice where they're at because sometimes they like to move on you.
There's a very high probability that John May died in this very room. It was also very common for family members to bury their loved ones on the property. The very first full-bodied apparition that was caught on camera outside of the home was directly outside of this window on this very wraparound porch. Now this porch extends the entire side of the old part of the home and a little bit towards the new side. There was a group leaving for the evening about 15 years ago. We've been doing these things for quite a long time. And this group at the time had a night vision camera. Well, when they had the picture developed the next day, Not only did they see the side of the house and the porch, but there was a man standing on this porch, leaning off, looking into the property, just kind of leaning on the railing. Now we have some speculation who this man might be. You know, we knew it wasn't any of our tour guides. He just kind of appeared out of nowhere. You can actually see his facial features and his outline of his shape, of his body shape. We do have this picture still today if you want to look and determine for yourself who you think it might be. But a lot of us think this might be Frank Saxon. It's very possible that he's still wandering this porch, heartbroken and feeling some sort of sense of guilt that he was unable to save his daughter's life. Now, if you guys come this way, we're going to walk into her bedroom. It was the children's room back then, and it continues to be. Now, we have one very special one in the corner. The cradle that she sleeps in is over 125 years old, but this little one in the corner, she is one of our oldest artifacts in the entire museum. She predates the Civil War, which could very possibly mean that she was made before this house was even built. Her body is made out of cloth and sawdust, her face is made out of paper mache, and her eyes are made out of glass. Some little girl took very good care of her while she was alive, possibly died very young, and is still with her favorite baby to this day. So we're headed to the attic next, which is our most interesting spot. Some people think it's creepy, some people think it's cool. I'll let you guys decide for yourself. Please follow me. Where we're standing right now is not yet the attic. The attic itself is behind this door. This is the room that we refer to as the gallery. Now, if you point your attention to the ceiling, we have a plexiglass panel which opens up into the 4th floor. That is what we refer to as the Widow's Walk or the cupola. Most likely it was used for ventilation. Now, here's a little fun fact for you. Dr. Stringer, being the prominent man that he was, there's a rumor that he wanted the tallest house in the neighborhood. Building the 4th floor gave him the tallest house in the neighborhood. But it was also the perfect spot for a young heartbroken soldier to end his life. He probably tried everything he could to pull himself out of this, but the nightmares wouldn't stop. All of these traumatic events that he saw throughout the war wouldn't stop, wouldn't go away, and he had nothing to help him through it. So one day he just couldn't take it anymore. And he takes the rope in his hands, he walks up that staircase, climbs to the top floor, ties the rope around the beam, slips it around his neck, and steps right off that ledge. And if we're speaking in terms of residual energy, which is basically the imprint of a traumatic event that has happened, this energy can carry on and linger for a very long time. Some people pick up on this energy. I, for one, that was the very first experience I ever had in this entire house. I did not start as a tour guide. I came on a tour group just like you guys with my friends. And the instant I walked up here, the house just changed for me. Now, the feeling behind this door is completely different. Creepy door in a haunted house just because we can. All right, please walk your step. As you can see, this is our really interesting, cool little hangout, the attic area. Now, this is also, in my personal opinion, the entire, or the most active room in the entire house. A number of our tour guides and our guests have always had experiences in here, and they can be quite varied, from footsteps to knocking noises to just creeped out feelings in certain areas of the house. People get touched, poked, pinched. Not so much the negative aspects, but you know, they're still there eventually. A number of years ago, I guess they got an EVP where they said his name was Gary, so that's what we call him. And I have had a lot of interesting spirit box and EVP evidence with Gary.
Even audible.
Yes, I have heard him. I walked out of the room and he said, "Bye, baby." Now, there is another, a newer artifact in this room that I want to point out because she is very interesting. Her name is Catherine. We got her, about 6 months ago? Mm-hmm. She was donated to her 3 months after she passed away. This portrait was done in 1917 or 1970, and we usually don't take anything that new. But her son was the one that donated her to us. And that's because he was getting so much activity around this portrait after she had died. He just didn't want it in this house anymore. Apparently she was a witch and her life's goal was to torment him. So now she stays with us and hangs out with Gary.
And if you guys do decide that you want to come back up to the attic after the tour is over, we just ask that you bring one of us with you, because there are a lot of places in here where you can lose your footing or step.
So we're gonna go back to the first floor. If you please follow Autumn down the 2 flights of stairs.
This is actually the doctor's office. Now, Dr. Stringer was a general practitioner. He practiced here in Brooksville up until 1903 when he passed away here in the house. Now, they say that he passed away in the upstairs bedroom. That would have been him and Marina's master bedroom, the last bedroom that we spoke in. A little bit about Dr. Stringer. Now, he was actually a Civil War field surgeon. Now, if you guys have seen movies with Civil War field surgeons in them, you'll know that they're notorious for that big old saw, right? So they had to be very quick with the saw. They had to be able to take off a limb super quick. And he was very skilled. So after the Civil War, he came to Brooksville. He didn't move in here right away because he acquired the house in the 1880s. But when he acquired the house, he practiced medicine in the house. Now what he would do is he would see his patients through the front door. They would wait in this hallway right here. He would close these 2 pocket doors to separate his family from his practice, because back then, we didn't have antibiotics. We had a lot of illness going around with no treatment, a lot of infectious disease. So he knew how to treat these people. So he would separate his family and he would see his patients right in here one by one. Now, like I said before, he was a general practitioner. That means he saw everything you can imagine, from childbirth, oncology, which is cancer patients, hospice patients, people who are ready to pass away. He would see anybody you could think of in here. Sore tooth, they'd come and see Dr. Stringer. Eye hurts, Dr. Stringer. Head hurts, Dr. Stringer. Baby, Dr. Stringer. You get the idea. Yeah. So Dr. Stringer left quite a legacy here. That being said, we don't think he ever left here. We think he is still here. And we do have people that walk into this room and they turn right back around and walk out. I've had that happen quite a few times to me on day tours. Come in here for a few minutes, sit for a few minutes, see if you can hear anything. We do have people say that they do see Dr. Stringer as well. I don't know if this is residual or if he's like actually haunting, but they see him walk from this room into the dining room. So that being said, let's go ahead and move into the military room. We're gonna exit this room right here and move right over into this small room. As you go in, please watch your step because there's a little bit of a lip here. Now there was a point in time when this was the gift shop. When this was the gift shop, we didn't have too much activity in here, paranormal wise. But when we turned it into the military room, everything changed. Now the military room was originally in this back corner room. And when it was in that back corner room, that room was really active. Once we moved it back in here, this room is pretty active as well. Now, one story that actually happened recently, there was a board meeting happening, and these women sit in the doctor's office for the meeting, and they heard what sounded like somebody falling down. So of course they all got up and rushed in, and all the lights were out besides that one, but they could see a bump laying in the middle of the floor. Of course they're panicking because, oh no, it's a volunteer who's fallen and hurt themselves. They flipped on the light. It was this mannequin right behind you in the corner. She was laying right about here, where your shoe is, face up, and she did not take out anything in front of her when she fell. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and move into the kitchen. You guys are welcome to look at the kitchen as you go by.
So this is the last room of the tour. You just have to listen to me talk for just a couple more minutes. I apologize, you're almost done. But we're standing in the kitchen. Here's a little fact that most people don't realize. There was not actually a kitchen inside the home until after the 1930s. Most of their cooking was done in cookhouses that was 20 to 30 feet away from the home, and that's because fire was the biggest danger. If you're cooking in the cookhouse, it was separated from the house, and if something caught on fire, it would be less likely to burn the entire house down. So thank you for listening to us for the last hour. You guys have your own free time until 10 o'clock. If you would like, Autumn has some pictures in the gift shop that she can show you. We have what we call the Book of Fame, which is a very fancy 3-ring binder. Bruce also has some gadgets in the front towards the foyer that he will show you how to use if you want to use K2 meters. I believe we have a REM pod, a spirit box. All those things are for your enjoyment to play with. So
It's part of the reason I don't like the attic right here. We are unsure what this is right here.
It's not a shadow?
It looks like just a shadow person, but we don't know who it is. Now this is actually one of our more famous pictures right here. This was actually taken in this doorway right here. And they believe this to be a soldier. This was when this was the military room, and you could see 2 holes in him.
Maybe. Oh, yeah.
And I will show you our most famous picture. Let's see if I've got it. This right here. Okay, so the story with this picture, there was a group of school teachers here. They wanted a picture of the kitchen without them in it. So this is zoomed in and lightened up so you can see what's in the middle. But there was a woman standing here and a woman standing here, and there was nobody in the picture when the picture was taken. Now they did come back and bring this to us, and she showed up, and it's just so funny because she correlates with a lot of the stories that the women that have been seen upstairs. Long black dress, low bun.
So I'm gonna go get a gadget.
We do have lots of gadgets. I call it the Harry Potter closet. We've got K2 meters, EMF meters, and there's a spirit box. So if they don't got a hold of the spirit box, that's really fun.
Those wheelchairs are very interesting. They have a lot of history.
Is that a spirit
behind
box?
them, too. I believe
Is that what it is?
one of them is from World War I.
I got a REM pod. This is
Yes, you can sit in this chair and any furniture up in the attic except
there's
for
a
the
K2
bed.
meter.
And that is because
What's that do?
Electromagnetic,
I actually
records electromagnetic energy,
Right.
and whenever anything spikes, the lights will light up.
Okay.
pictures of their
That'll
needs
tell you.
that, you know,
And what was this you were playing with?
That is a
the frame
REM
is,
pod.
it's publicly
And what's that do?
sit in the wrong spot.
It,
Well, I just happened to be the one that sat in the wrong spot. And just
detects
big
physical
round thing
things,
throughout the entire
in the
museum.
atmosphere.
The curator
Like
was
if you
here
were to
that
go
day,
and touch it,
she
it
was
will.
the first one up there to find out. It sounds like that's, it looks like that's gonna be the rock. Yeah, which is weird because it was.
Can we go up there?
Sure.
And you were on the show, on the TV show?
I was. Yes,
I haven't seen it yet, but our friends have. They said that you actually got scratched by something.
I did. I was scratched up here. I was actually over in this area right here. This attic is actually shaped like a T.
Right.
So I was standing right here. And something got me. I just felt my back burning.
Was that the scariest thing you've had happen so far?
No.
No?
No. No. Definitely anytime anything shows up, like visually,
Mm-hmm.
that scares me the most.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it's mostly because you're not quite expecting to see something, and then it's suddenly there.
Is it like a real person, or is it like a shadow, or like a more like a ghost type thing, or?
No, it's definitely, they look like people. They look like full people. I have seen shadows. Every time I see shadows, they're back here.
Right.
We call this place the hole back here, so
Right.
we have to get Christmas decorations out.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. So back there in the very back, you can't really see it, but there's like a chimney all the way at the back,
Right.
and we'll see things like shift around in there. I've seen that happen quite a few times. This was the window that I had seen something including it, and it stepped out of the way.
Right.
So that's more shadowy. But full, like I have seen full bodied, they look like people, and often I think they're part of the tour.
Right.
And then I realized that, okay, well, that one just walked into a wall. So that's definitely not part of the tour. Yeah. We do have people come and see people in the windows. That's
Mhm.
happened quite a few times. And I feel like we get touched a lot up here too. Mostly the ladies, we get touched up here. And we're not sure who does it. I do want to say that I don't think Gary, the spirit with the trunk, I don't think he's evil or anything. I think he's just mean, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything really evil here, but he does like to poke, pinch, and do all that stuff.
And what causes this to change?
Now that'll be like electromagnetic field. So if I put my phone up to it, it should, like if I turn it on, see how it
Okay.
moves. So if
And
any-
entities will put that kind of field off as well?
Yes. Now that's the theory. We have seen that. Like we'll set it on top of his trunk, or set it near his trunk, and it'll go off sometimes. And he's very grouchy, so he's temperamental, maybe.
Right.
It's a better word for him. Sometimes he'll do it, sometimes he won't. And I think he does it out of spite, you know. But we've seen him throw stuff. We've seen him knock stuff over. He's grumpy.
And I missed how he got the name Gary.
No, several years ago, we've had the trunk for, I believe, 17 years. So we've had the trunk for a very long time. And several years ago, we had somebody here doing EVPs, and he identified himself as Gary. And that's the only time he has ever said his name. Because usually it's just him dropping the F-bomb left and right and left and right. He cusses a lot.
Sounds like Don. And he's the most active?
I would say he's probably the most active, yes. I would say a close second is probably James, is the other male that's here. And there is something in the hallway downstairs. We're not sure who he is, but a lot of the stuff I think it's blamed on Gary too, but it's not Gary. But there's a very tall man in the hallway down there that like walks. You'll see him walking, and I don't know if maybe that is Gary. I don't know, but we've seen him quite a few times as well. We did have a tour. It was probably 3 months ago, and I had to do the attic portion by myself that night.
Right.
And I had them in the gallery right here, and I was like hyping myself up. All right, I gotta go in. You know, it's time to go to the attic. And I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna go through the attic. And I'm like, Gary doesn't like me very much, you know. And when I said that, these curtains flew off the wall, like right in front of
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So.
Well, I was hoping to see something. Maybe it'll show up on the camera.
Yeah. He likes to show up on camera.
Did you get anything from up here?
Nope. Some good stories. One-on-one tour, but no activity.
To Gary? You didn't go up to Gary?
Yeah, we did.
Did you go up there?
Yes.
You did?
But just because he was with me.
Oh.
I don't go alone.
I like to go up there too.
Sure.
Going up?
Go up there with
It's not working.
You want this one?
Do you need it still?
No,
You going back down?
I'll go up with you if you want to go up again. I don't want to miss something.
You went up there?
Yeah. But I'll go up again. She might scare him out.
Gary! Hi, Gary! Hey, I'm a friend of Jesse's. He knows we're here. Look, I brought you a whole bunch of people tonight. I wish you could talk to us. I don't have a good spirit box.
1.3.
Come on, Gary, wake up.
Well, she's into this.
Huh?
She's into this.
Oh.
Tell us a story. I don't have flashlights for you. I'm sorry. We don't have the equipment Jesse does. But I came a long way to see you. Come on. You got something back there? That would be Molly. Molly. You got something? Did I hear a beep?
Yeah.
Molly! Well, who's beeping?
It's Bruce over in these guys. We don't know who it could be.
Molly! Hi, Molly!
My thing just went up to 0.82.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Good.
Right next to the trunk.
Gary! Hey,
What do
Gary!
you have?
All right, Gary, come on.
I don't know what this is. It says an EMF thing.
Oh, wow.
It just went to point,
Hi,
and then it just
Gary.
went off. So I don't know what that
So there's
means.
nothing on now?
No.
Oh.
It lights up red.
Oh, okay.
and
You're pretty famous. Come talk to us. Come on.
You trying to chastise him out, Don?
Yeah, try to aggravate
Did you hear it back there?
Come on, guys.
Move something. Throw your hat off your little house here.
Shows you the real deal.
Come on. We came a long way to see you, buddy.
You hear that?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know.
I did too. Oh, did it
God,
sound?
was it loud?
That wasn't you?
No.
And then I thought I heard something over there in the corner, but I think it's just the floor creaking.
What you got? Anything, Bruce? Nothing? How about near Gary? Can you put it near Gary? Come on, Gary. Wake up.
She said that people don't feel comfortable here.
Do you feel uncomfortable?
No, I feel very comfortable. Like I've been here before, but I haven't.
Looks like that's the best I'm gonna get. Anything going on in here?
Yeah, I put some toys. I scattered some toys, and I got one of the little what's it called?
It's a REM pod.
REM pod down there. But
Is that the gadget right there?
Yeah, it's the gadget right there.
And it started going off?
Well, no, we she was right over here.
Did that just go off?
No, I just
You touched it.
Oh, okay.
We had her right over here in between all of us.
We heard some knocking upstairs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was Bruce, but it wasn't.
No, see, I was pretty sure I heard footsteps in that room, in the back corner.
Jesse touched the back of my leg.
Really?
Yeah, and I turned this, or he did.
Because she was right here.
I was standing right here, facing this way, and I felt something brush my backside, like tap my backside, and then he came over and he put this here, and it lit up.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
Oh no, I'm okay. I sit down all the time. I might as well stand up for one night.
Bunch of old fogies on the night doing this.
Take pictures of four of us, but four of us aren't all together.
I want to see the picture. There might be something back there.
There was.
Yeah.
It was James.
Don's got.
Let's take one more. Where is he?
Okay.
Wait, let me get my
I can get one of them. I can get one of all of us.
Strap together.
Ready, set, go. Wait.
I probably have my eyes closed. Every time that flash blinks, I blink.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, it was on 80 when I got here. It's on 50. I haven't used it. I don't know how it went down 30.
Are you wrong? Are you wrong?
Nope. Nope. I had it off.
Did you take it upstairs?
I did.
No, there you
Took it
go.
upstairs.
They said.
Mine was up there. Let's see if mine went down.
Mine's on 5%. But I was using it the whole time.
Well, yeah, I can film it. I'm guessing. Done? Are we coming? Are we going?
I'm ready if everybody else
You're
is.
probably locked in for the whole time and can't get out. The
No.
doors are locked.
They lock you in.
That would be her dream, right?
Push now. And they gotta drive back to Orlando.
Oh goodness, you guys took a trip to come out here.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You guys are in Orlando? Wow, that is a long drive.
About an hour and a half.
Yeah. Well, it's super dark. We're on the way home. It's a pretty fun tour. There were a couple of borderline things. What do you think? Real or hoax?
Jury's out.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I clearly heard the knocks, but somebody could have easily done that. At one point, I thought I felt something on my shoulder in the medical room, like just a brush on my shoulder, but I don't think it was my imagination.
Yeah.
And that was it for me.
Yeah, and then I felt the
I was fine. There was, there was one point in there when we were, where the hell were we? I forget which room we were in, and I almost felt, like a little. I got like a little bit of a headache, and it lasted a couple minutes, but then it went away. Well, I don't know if that was just me or if it was just weird or what, but I had a little bit of a headache, just like bang, come on. And then it only lasted a couple minutes, and then that was it. It was gone. So I don't know. Again, could have been the garlic.
Yes. Could have been the food.
I did not have garlic first. Now we'll never know.
When I came back down the last time, I walked in that where the baby room was, and as soon as I walked in there, I felt like the hair on the back of my neck was standing up in my arms, but it could have just been because there's a lot of freaky little babies in there.
Yeah.
Those little baby dolls. My body would have been, you don't want to go in this room.
I think it was pretty cool. It was worth going. I would.
I did get a couple of readings. I was sitting all
I
by
would almost-
myself alone in that bedroom. I guess I don't know where the shoes were. Remember, Brad?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was in there, my little meter went balloon. right up to 111.7 and stayed there. And then it went to 17 and just stayed there. And then I cleared it and it went back up to 5. And then it cleared itself, which is weird because there was no electronic, nothing. There was nothing there. I was alone in the room. And I don't have any electronic parts. And my phone was off. So
Yeah, you know, for me, I think it's haunted in here.
Yeah, maybe Gary's taking a ride with us.
Very great.
Did we bring a spirit home with us?
Holy crap.
Gary's taking a ride with us.
We paid $20 for the tour and we could have just rode around in your car. The camera just freaked out.
Damn it, Gary.
Yeah.
Damn it, Gary.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something too and I forgot. Can't remember now.
Gary, are you here?
All right, so May Stringer House, certified haunted. Not by us. We're not going as far as saying certified haunted. Certified worth $20 to go on the tour? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also would recommend spending the $5 to do it in the daytime because they don't cover they don't cover all the artifacts, and there's some really cool artifacts in there. So anyway, that's it. Peace out.
Night.